Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you fear, everything you've rejected about yourself, isn't meant to be hidden. It's meant to guide you. This isn't just a philosophical musing. It's a psychological truth explored by Carl Jung in his groundbreaking theory of the shadow. Throughout history, countless individuals have struggled with the unseen forces within them. These hidden aspects, the pieces of ourselves we deny or suppress, don't disappear. Instead, they linger in the depths of our unconscious, shaping our choices, reactions, and relationships in ways we barely understand. But what if embracing these hidden aspects was the key to unlocking our fullest potential? Tonight, we embark on a deep, transformative journey, not just into the theory of the shadow, but into its real-life application. By the end of this exploration, you won't just understand your shadow, you'll see how facing it can lead to profound inner peace, unshakable confidence, and a life aligned with your truest self. Meet David, a highly successful entrepreneur, admired by many, yet tormented by an inner voice that whispers, "You're a fraud." No matter how many achievements he racks up, a deep, unshakable insecurity lurks beneath the surface. He ignores it, buries it, distracts himself with work and validation, but it never goes away. For years, David had mastered the art of appearing strong. He was the embodiment of confidence, the person others turned to for advice, for leadership. Yet beneath this polished exterior was a man haunted by self-doubt, paralyzed by the fear that one day, people would see through his carefully crafted image. It wasn't failure that scared him the most. It was exposure. The exposure of his imperfections, his inadequacies, his deeply rooted fears of not being enough. One night, after a particularly exhausting day, David collapses onto his bed and falls into a restless sleep. In his dream, he is walking through an ancient labyrinth, the walls lined with mirrors that reflect distorted images of himself. Some monstrous, some pitiful. The air is thick with whispers, voices he can't quite make out. As he moves forward, he senses a presence. A shadowy figure follows him. Every time he turns around, it vanishes. Then, finally, a whisper. "Stop running." He wakes up drenched in sweat, his heart pounding. Something about the dream unsettles him. It feels familiar, as if it had been trying to reach him for years. But only now had he been ready to listen. The next day, shaken and curious, David begins researching Jungian psychology. He learns about the shadow, the part of ourselves we reject, yet which holds the key to our deepest truths. He wonders, could his feelings of unworthiness be a sign rather than a curse? Determined to find answers, David decides to experiment. Instead of dismissing his insecurities, he faces them. He journals about his fears, tracing them back to childhood when he was constantly compared to his more successful older brother. He recalls the sting of always falling short, of being told to be more like him. The wounds were old, but they had never truly healed. They had simply been buried beneath layers of achievement and external success. As he digs deeper, he notices something strange. The more he acknowledges his shadow, the less power it has over him. The fear that once gripped him so tightly begins to loosen its hold. He starts recognizing his projection, how his irritation at arrogant people stemmed from his own suppressed self-doubt. He starts to ask, what can this feeling teach me? A mentor introduces him to the concept of individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating the shadow. David commits himself to this journey, realizing that true confidence doesn't come from perfection, but from embracing both light and darkness. With time, David learns to have conversations with his shadow. Instead of battling it, he listens. He hears the voice that had tormented him for so long, but now, instead of fighting back, he asks it why it's there. And for the first time, the voice doesn't taunt him. It reveals a truth he had long ignored. His pain was never meant to destroy him. It was meant to teach him. David's interactions with others change. He no longer seeks validation, nor does he harshly judge those who mirror his hidden insecurities. Instead, he uses his newfound awareness to uplift others, mentoring young entrepreneurs who struggle with self-worth. His leadership transforms. He no longer leads from fear, but from authenticity. Then, a final test. A massive deal falls through, threatening everything he's built. the old David would have spiraled into self-doubt. He would have drowned in sleepless nights, overanalyzing every decision, blaming himself for not being good enough. But now, he sits with his fear instead of resisting it. He listens. And for the first time, his shadow doesn't whisper, "You're a fraud." It says, "You're human." With this realization, a weight lifts. He sees clearly. His purpose was never to prove his worth to the world. His purpose was to fully accept himself, flaws and all, and to help others do the same. David's story is not unique. It is yours. It is mine. The shadow isn't an enemy. It is a guide, whispering truths we're too afraid to face. But when we listen, when we integrate it into our being, we unlock a power beyond imagination. Most people spend their lives running from the darkness within them, terrified of what they might find. But the truth is, our deepest wounds contain our greatest wisdom. Our fears hold the key to our liberation, and our shadows, when embraced, become our greatest source of strength. So ask yourself, what is your shadow trying to teach you? Are you ready to stop running and finally hear what it has to say? Because in the end, the greatest light you'll ever find lies in the darkness you once feared. Imagine for a moment that everything you struggle with, every fear, every self-doubt, isn't merely an obstacle to overcome, but a map leading you to your true purpose. Think about it. What if the key to understanding who you are and what you're meant to do lies in the very parts of yourself you've tried to ignore, suppress, or deny? Today, we'll explore one of the most transformative concepts in psychology and philosophy, Carl Jung's theory of the shadow. This isn't just about abstract ideas, it's about uncovering profound truths that can reshape your life. By the end of this journey, you'll not only understand your shadow, but also discover how it holds the secret to your purpose, your potential, and your freedom. The final revelation we'll uncover may be the most life-changing of all. Carl Jung, a pioneer of depth psychology, believed the shadow is the unconscious part of ourselves we reject or disown. It consists of traits, desires, and aspects of our personality we deem unacceptable or shameful. Yet paradoxically, this shadow contains the seeds of our greatest strengths and the blueprint for a fulfilling life. Think about it. How often do we avoid certain thoughts or behaviors because they make us uncomfortable? How often do we judge others for traits we secretly recognize in ourselves? If you've ever reacted strongly to someone's actions, chances are they've touched a part of your own shadow. Jung himself wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The shadow isn't just about darkness, it's about potential. It's the energy we bury out of fear or shame." Reflect. Are there parts of yourself you hide from others? Or even from yourself? A fear of failure? A buried anger? An impractical passion? What if these weren't flaws to eradicate but messages waiting to be understood? Jung believed that by confronting our shadow, we integrate it into our conscious awareness, leading to individuation, a process of becoming whole. This requires courage and honesty, but the rewards are immense. Individuation is the journey to your authentic self, embracing both light and shadow. Consider mythological heroes. Hercules faced his rage. Luke Skywalker confronted his darkness. These stories mirror our psychological journeys. The question is, are you ready to take the first step? Your shadow whispers through dreams, fears, and relationships. Recurring dreams or intense emotions. These may be your shadow communicating. Shadow work begins with awareness. Notice disproportionate reactions. They're clues to what you've hidden. Next comes acceptance. Not indulging every impulse, but acknowledging these parts without judgment. Imagine the freedom of no longer fearing your flaws, but seeing them as tools for growth. In the coming sections, we'll explore practical steps to integrate your shadow, turning darkness into light. Stay with us. By the end, you'll have a roadmap to using your shadow as a guide to your destiny. Diving deeper. How your shadow manifests. The shadow appears in habits, relationships, and emotional outbursts. Why does it hold such power? Jung argued that what we suppress controls us. Like a beach ball forced underwater, the harder you push it down, the more violently it resurfaces. A key shadow mechanism is projection. We disown traits, but see them in others. For example, if you feel inadequate, you might criticize confident people. Jung said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of others." Reflect. Who triggers strong emotions in you? What might this reveal about your shadow? This isn't about blame. It's about reclaiming disowned parts of yourself. Shadow and purpose. Your suppressed traits are often tied to your gifts. Someone stifling creativity out of fear may discover their life's work by embracing it. Jung taught that purpose isn't found externally. It's uncovered by aligning with your authentic self, shadow included. Start with self-inquiry. What do I fear most about myself? What dreams have I abandoned as unworthy? Journaling helps. Jung used dreams as a window to the unconscious. Recurring symbols? They're shadow messages. Integration. The path to wholeness. Integrating your shadow is like an artist using all colors, light and dark, to create depth. It's not about indulging darkness, but understanding it. This fosters self-compassion and connection, as everyone carries a shadow. Your purpose isn't just for you. Jung believed individuation contributes to the collective unconscious. By facing your shadow, you inspire others. Practical steps. Radical self-honesty. Admit hidden feelings without judgment. Analyze triggers. Ask, why does this bother me? What's it revealing? Dialogue with your shadow. Journal or meditate. Ask it what it needs. Reflect on relationship patterns. Conflicts often mirror unresolved shadow aspects. Creativity and the shadow energy fuels creativity. Suppressed anger can drive advocacy. Hidden desires can inspire art. Think of Frida Kahlo or MLK. Their work channeled shadow depths. The ultimate revelation. Jung's core truth. We achieve wholeness by making the darkness conscious. Shadow work is vulnerability, showing up authentically. This transforms relationships, purpose, and even society. Your wounds become wisdom. Your purpose emerges from alignment, not external search. By integrating your shadow, you stop inner war and radiate peace. Final challenge. Look within. Ask, what is my shadow teaching me? How can I live more authentically today? This is a lifelong journey, but each step brings you closer to wholeness. Share your insights. They might light someone else's path. Imagine for a moment that everything you struggle with, every fear, every self-doubt, every insecurity that keeps you awake at night, isn't just a random obstacle on your path, but a hidden compass, meticulously designed to guide you toward your true purpose. What if the very aspects of yourself you've spent years running from, suppressing or disguising, hold the master key to unlocking a life of profound fulfillment, creativity, and self-realization? This is not a hypothetical question. It's the foundation of Carl Jung's revolutionary theory of the shadow, a concept that has the power to dismantle the illusions you've built about yourself and reconstruct a life of authenticity. Today, we won't just skim the surface of this transformative idea. We'll plunge into its depths, exploring how your shadow shapes your relationships, stifles your potential, and, when integrated, becomes the catalyst for your greatest evolution. By the time we conclude, you'll possess more than theoretical knowledge. You'll have a practical blueprint to decode the hidden messages behind your emotional triggers, transform repressed traits into superpowers, align with a purpose that feels unshakably true to who you are. The journey ahead will challenge you, but the reward is nothing short of freedom. The freedom to stop fighting yourself and start embracing the wholeness that has always existed within you. The shadow, your disowned self. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist who reshaped modern psychology, defined the shadow as the repository of all we refuse to acknowledge about ourselves. It's not merely your dark side in the simplistic sense of evil or malice. It's everything you've been conditioned to reject by society, family, or your own inner critic. Why the shadow matters projection. When you encounter someone who irritates, intimidates, or fascinates you disproportionately, you're likely seeing your own shadow reflected. For instance, If you secretly envy a colleague's assertiveness, but label them arrogant, your shadow is signaling a disowned part of your desire to speak up. If you're overly critical of a friend's vulnerability, you might be resisting your own unmet need for emotional support. Jung's insight. We meet ourselves time and again in 1,000 disguises on the path of life. Energy drain. Suppressing traits like anger, sensuality, or ambition consumes psychological energy. Imagine carrying a 50-pound backpack every day. That's the weight of an unintegrated shadow. Lost potential. Your shadow isn't just a burden. It's a vault of untapped resources. The creativity you dismiss as unrealistic, the intensity you label too much, or the sensitivity you call weakness, are often your most potent gifts in disguise. How the shadow forms, a lifelong conditioning process. From childhood, we're taught to fragment ourselves. Don't cry, be strong. Suppressed vulnerability. Stop daydreaming, focus. Suppressed imagination. Don't brag. Suppressed self-celebration. These rejected parts don't vanish. They coalesce into the shadow, operating underground where they influence choices. Ever pursued a career to please others, then wondered why you feel empty? That's the shadow sabotaging misalignment. Relationships. Attracting the same toxic partner? You're magnetically drawn to people who embody your disowned traits. Self-sabotage, procrastination, imposter syndrome, and sudden outbursts are often shadow rebellions against inauthenticity. Shadow work, the path to integration. Integration isn't about becoming your shadow, it's about ending the civil war within. Here's how to begin. Step 1. Identify your shadow journal. Prompt. What traits do I judge most harshly in others? List them. Then ask, when have I displayed this? Body awareness. Notice physical reactions, clenched jaw, racing heart, during conflicts. These are shadow flares. Dream analysis. Recurring dreams of being chased, falling, or encountering mysterious figures often symbolize shadow material. Step 2. Dialogue with your shadow. This isn't metaphorical. Try this exercise. Visualize your shadow as a separate entity, e.g., a shadowy figure, an animal, or a younger version of yourself. Ask, what do you need me to know? How have you been trying to protect me? Listen without judgment. Answers may arise as images, emotions, or sudden insights. Example, a man who repressed his artistic side to please his pragmatic family might hear, "You abandoned me, but I kept your creativity alive. Let me out, not as a hobby, but as a lifeline." Step 3. Reclaim your energy. Every reintegrated shadow trait liberates vitality. For example, repressed anger, channeled into healthy boundaries. Hidden sensitivity becomes empathy for leadership. Selfish ambition fuels impactful work. Shadow and purpose, the unbreakable link. Jung believed your purpose emerges from the union of conscious and unconscious. It's not about inventing a mission, but uncovering what's already coded within you. Case study. From shadow to calling. The people pleaser, who always put others first, discovers her shadow holds fierce independence. Integration leads her to advocate for women's autonomy. The perfectionist who feared failure realizes his shadow contains playfulness. He starts a movement teaching creativity through joy, not pressure. Your shadow doesn't distract from your purpose, it defines it. The collective shadow, healing the world. Jung's most radical idea. Personal shadow work is activism. When millions integrate their disowned parts, racism, sexism, and other systemic isms lose power. They thrive on collective shadow projection. Leaders act from wholeness, not insecurity. Art and innovation flourish as creativity is freed. Final invitation. This isn't theoretical. Your shadow is speaking now, through the resistance you feel reading this, the curiosity it sparks, or the memories it surfaces. Today's experiment. Choose one emotion you avoid, e.g., envy, sadness, desire. For 24 hours, welcome it without acting on it. Notice where you feel it in your body, what it's trying to communicate. Example, my envy of her success points to my own unexpressed ambition. Closing truth. The shadow isn't your enemy. It's the part of you that refused to die when you tried to bury it. It's been waiting, not to destroy you, but to lead you home. The journey begins the moment you say, I am ready to meet myself. To understand this, let's go to the origin story of the shadow. Imagine this scene. A 7-year-old girl is painting wildly, the colors spilling out beyond the lines. Suddenly her teacher says, art doesn't pay the bills. That moment, that shame, kills her creativity. Decades later, she's a frustrated accountant who secretly resents artists. This is no coincidence. Her shadow is at work. Carl Jung didn't just theorize about the shadow, he lived it. After his separation from Freud in 1912, he fell into depression and had visions so terrifying that he documented them in the Red Book. What seemed like madness was actually the shadow's integration in real time. I had to choose between becoming a respected academic or descending into the underworld of my soul. I chose the descent, and it saved my soul. This is the essence of shadow work. Voluntary discomfort for sovereign integrity. Modern brain scans reveal why shadow traits feel dangerous. The amygdala processes rejected traits as physical threats. fMRI studies show that repressed emotions, like anger, activate the same neural pathways as chronic pain. Integration literally rewires the brain. Harvard's psychedelic research laboratory found that psilocybin, which mimics shadow work, increases prefrontal cortex connectivity by 300%. But you don't need drugs, just bold curiosity. Your shadow isn't monolithic, it wears masks. The orphan. Exiled vulnerability manifesting as toxic independence. The magician. Repressed power seeping through as manipulation. The clown. Buried joy surfacing as sarcasm. Exercise. For each archetype, ask, when did I first learn that this was unacceptable? How is it taking over my behavior? What gold is buried here? E.g., magician's charisma can foster leadership. Journaling revealed a pattern. Increased fatigue after ignoring own needs. Childhood memories, called selfish for wanting ballet lessons. Wrote letter to 8-year-old self, your requests are important. Started saying no to one unimportant request per day. Set aside 20 minutes per day for unimportant creativity. His energy returned in 11 weeks. His selfishness was actually self-preservation. Here's how your subconscious communicates. 1. Body chronic neck pain, repressed assertiveness, biting your tongue, gut issues, unprocessed fear, unable to process reality. 2. Humor, jokes about your laziness. This is your shadow mocking your unrealized ambitions. 3. Freudian slips, calling your spouse by your ex's name. This is a long, unresolved blow. Daily practice, 5 minutes. Light a candle, symbolizes awareness. Hold an object that represents a rejected trait, e.g. a black stone for grief. Whisper, I see you. I am learning your language. Weekly practice. Watch a movie that makes you uncomfortable. Write down which characters trigger you and why. Lunar practice. During full moons, write down 3 social shoulds that you have internalized. Burn the paper. Every cultural taboo is a collective shadow. 1950s, repressed sexuality, transformed into free love in the 1960s, 2020s, repressed grief, manifested as anger shift. Your personal work ripples outward. When you stop projecting shame onto others, your relationships become mirrors, not battlefields. Your work becomes a profession, not a search for approval. Your life becomes your own Jung's final discovery. The shadow is not just personal, it is ancestral. DNA research shows that trauma markers are now passed down through 14 generations. Is your fear of abandonment irrational? It may stem from your great-grandmother's migration story. It's not destiny, it's invitation. By integrating your shadow, you heal the lineage.